Brandon, one of our military bases in Iraq was attacked by Iranian proxies. Can you give us a little bit of insight on what's going on?
Yeah, so this just casually comes out yesterday that like, oh, nothing to see here, just like one or two articles that a U.S. military base in Iraq gets attacked by some Iran proxy group. You know, multiple U.S. soldiers hurt. And then they went back and killed the people who were involved in that attack, killed the Iranians. So I don't know, like, one, why is this something that went so under the radar in the news? And two, why, like, how is this not an escalation of whatever conflict this is going to turn out to be as far, you know, because, like, I mean, the way I thought of it is that normally if, like, some group that's involved in a larger conflict attacks a U.S. base, then that's, like, escalating the thing.
That is escalation.
So why is it under the radar? You know, that's one question. And then two, like, for anybody who's a supporter of Biden or against Trump, do you feel good about the fact that the rest of the world thinks they could just throw rocks at us or, you know, for the sake of an analogy, or bomb us and get away with it?
But and they're being funded. I don't care that they talk about releasing humanitarian aid and it's or releasing the funds that were Iranian funds that were seized or whatever. They're funding this while it goes on, releasing what, $6 billion under Obama,
yeah.
$10 billion now, and they say, well, it's only for aid, as if cash is not fungible is the cliched term, as if it's not, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. So,
yeah, like pay a group to bomb a U.S. base.
and then give them more money. Hey, maybe they'll you know, give up this time. Maybe they'll be friends with us this time.
I think the real question is, David, how are they doing it in front of our faces just a couple days after the Israel attack in Israel? We are releasing this money to them, but nobody seems to be. You're funding the people that are paying for the terrorists?
That money is only going to go to aid. So they have more money to spend on weapons, and they don't.
The $6 billion whatever to spend on something else.
It is stupid beyond description to say, well, it's like a child saying, well, you know, dad tells his kid, you can't spend your money on drugs. Here's $20 though. Only use it on school books. Great.
Yeah.
I only have $20 that I was going to use on school books. I can use on drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's only for aid people. So instead of the Iranian government having to take care of their people, they now have $10 billion freed up to fund proxy wars against the West. And then the West, you know, gives them aid for their own people.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
No, I mean, and yeah, like, do you think this is going to escalate into some, like, I mean, we're already somewhat involved in this Middle East thing, but do you think it's going to get into a thing where we're progressively more and more involved in the situation? Or
I think 100%, Brendan, especially with that, I'm shocked that that's not a bigger story. I saw in the gym, I want to say 3-4 days ago, everybody just nonchalant watching. They got MSNBC or one of these channels up there. We're bombing in Syria. We are doing, currently, right now, we're doing airstrikes in Syria, and then the very next news story was 5 special forces Americans killed in a training exercise. Guys, anytime you hear training exercise, because they're training there because of war, because shit's popping up. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, none of this is by accident. Yeah. They're setting us up for something bigger. That's why as soon as the Israel thing happened, you heard Iran. All the media outlets, the left media, Iran, they're begging for war with them. And then when you free up $6 billion for them, what are you basically trying to tell them? You're basically telling them, like, hey, go ahead, give the terrorists money so we can bomb the shit out of you.
And you bring in targets. Well, we're going to advance some ships into the sea. We're going to advance some soldiers. You're given targets. You know damn well that insofar as they're targets, they're going to get targeted. And when they die, they'll, oh, look, now they've attacked us. Now we have to retaliate. And this is the slow step towards World War III.
The U.S. Marines in the Middle East actually had to cancel their annual ball. This went undercovered, but they canceled their annual ball because they had to spend all their time training. Like, training for what?
For what?
They're like, well, we need to, you know, be prepared. And the press was like, for what? For what? And they finally were like, well, because of what's happening in Gaza, but don't worry, it's, you know, it's not going to lead to anything. It's a lot of the same thing with, like, the inflation numbers, where they change the way that we track inflation so it doesn't look as bad. It's like you change the definition of war so it doesn't look like we're at war, but effectively.
Exactly.
Well, you say that story went underreported. Do you know of a good website where people can read something you did report?
You're on your plug game.
Yeah, you're plugging.
Well, you know, I wonder, like, is it because they're waiting for a certain time to actually, like, acknowledge the fact that we're at war and really push the thing? I mean, like, the thing you say about, like, the election coming up or whatever, are they waiting for a strategic time to say, you know, now we're at war? Because by every conceivable definition, we are at war. We have, like, 7 aircraft carriers posted up next to the Gaza Strip. We have people getting bombed, U.S. soldiers getting bombed, U.S. soldiers engaging with people that are in the war. So by every measurable measure, it's a war.
Well, if past this prologue, and this is not a case of a fear hiding the wish, this is just the damn fear. You know, the U.S. declared war on terrorism on September 1st. And so, hey, you have another domestic attack, and then it's not just something happening in Israel. have a domestic attack, declare an official war, I don't know, impose martial law, either suspend elections in 2024 or create vote from home because polling booths are not safe enough, and then you can do whatever the hell you want.
What we see from our elected leaders is that it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you tend to fall on, everybody wants the same thing. In 2020, Biden made mention he wanted to be boots on the ground in Syria at one point. We're doing airstrikes now, no confirmed troop deployment, but he's still got a little while before he's out officially. So who's to say what they're going to do? But then also look at the slobbering war hawks all over the Republican debate stage during the last one.
War whores, not war hawks.
War hawks. How about war hawks?
Hawks are beautiful animals.
Okay.
War whores or war pigs.
War hawks. I
War
like
pigs.
Yeah.
I believe Ozzy Osbourne had a song about that at one point. But Tim Scott, right before he suspended his ill-fated long shot campaign,
Yeah.
was like, we need to bomb Iran while he's standing
Yeah,
up there.
what the hell?
And not just that, he said during the debate, and I found it to be actually morally very offensive, that the blood of the Ukrainians was a worthwhile sacrifice to debilitate or to weaken the Russian military infrastructure. It's like, worth it to you? I mean,
Yeah.
And I thought it
You
was just
hear what you're
very
saying.
callous. You got Nikki Haley up there, war.
Lindsey Graham wants to start bombing Iranian oil pipelines.
That was the next day. The next day after the attack, Lindsey Graham shamelessly, that scumbag, was in front of that message. He was like, "We gotta bomb the shit out of Iran." It's like, dude, can the smoke clear? Can the dust settle?
And
you
they
son of
don't
a
have the
bitch?
Nord Stream pipeline to
And
bomb
bro,
anymore.
And then when I found, because dude, I knew Nikki Haley was, she said at the on the board of Boeing, and her husband is. You want to talk about a conflict of interest? Her husband worked. I don't know if he probably still does for defense contracting. So if you're married to the guy and you're pushing war, bitch, that your husband is gonna profit when we go to war.
Speaking of profiting, she was in financial dire straits, I believe, in I want to say 2018.
I was
but
gonna
I
say
might
2018.
give or take, and now she's worth $8 to $10 million. I mean, that's a good ROI right there.
She is, bro, because at the end of the day, let's not lie to each other. There's no money in peace. Because those bombs, those rockets, those things are being made. All these Lockheed, all my friends, what's the name of the company in California? Dude, their job, it's crazy, is making missiles, bombs, guidance systems, and they were laying people off at one point during Trump's presidency because there was no war.
Right.
Because go think about it. When you build a bomb, they want to use it so they could build more bombs, bro. It's a business, just like Pat said about hospitals. When you see a hospital, David, all those rooms, they're in the business of keeping those bitches filled.
And not to say that,
Just like the bombs.
people get angry at the military aid given to Israel, but it's tax dollar money laundering. Here's $10 billion, buy our weapons, and then bring it right back.
100%.
And who owns the company? I mean, look, everyone here watching and knows, that infrastructure, but it's tax dollar money laundering for death and for war.
I agree.
100%. Well, the unfortunate thing is that it's such a dilemma is that we need to keep the military-industrial complex flowing to a degree, because if there was total peace and no reason for them to build stuff, it would come to a screeching halt. Those companies would go bankrupt and our military would get hollowed out because there's no activity.
So which is scary, Brandon, you say that. So technically, we
Need
have
something.
to keep wars.
Yeah.
We have to keep fighting, which is such a shitty thing for me to say out loud. But when you make that point, it's like, you got to practice. If you're a race car driver,
Yeah.
bro, you need the car, you need the tires, you need the fucking track. You got to move.
It sort of goes back to the Waco thing. Like, you have an FBI that has these tools. It's like, we want to use them. Okay, then we could arrest him peacefully while he's walking down the street or in church. No, let's go blow up his building and siege it for 60 days. Try our what do they have their torture tactics of like,
the flamethrowers.
we got these tools. We got to use them.
Yeah, but you see, like, when we are not at war, we are funding other people's wars.
Yeah.
Because we're still trying to maintain, like, oh, we're not fighting a proxy war with Russia. We're helping Ukraine liberate itself.
Yeah.
No, we've always wanted to knock them down a peg. I guarantee you, the same people who want to bomb Iran are really, really excited about the potential of China invading Taiwan.
100%.
They are just
drooling.
Give us an excuse.
Yep.
Because they have just been waiting for the next thing they get to blow up.
And before we go to the next topic, which is going to be David, I saw a video on Twitter of an army. So we're not going to show it right now, but you guys could look it up for yourselves. An army soldier that's leaving the military, and they're charging him $4,000 for the gear that he left behind in Afghanistan, which they told him to leave because we were leaving. Now they're trying to charge him $4,000.
The IRS going after a grandma, but not after like SPF.
Yeah, exactly. So I saw that video. I mean, you could look it up for yourself.
Maybe whoever picked up his material can, like, pay him $1,000 for it so he can.
Yeah, no.
You know,
shit.
how about the
cost down.
taxpayers want the 900 billion back that we left in materials there?
Yeah, that's what I would say. That's being used. They're finding guns.
Yeah.
Some of the guns that these Palestinian people had that were attacking the Hamas soldiers they were our guns.
Or every time you blow something up just so you get to build a new one, we want that tax money
Oh
back
my
too.
God, it's unbelievable.
Maybe this is a factor in why the Pentagon just failed an audit for the 6th year in a row.
If they succeed on the audit, then we'll know where their black dollar, what are they called? Black funding is going.
Black funding is.
3.8 trillion.
Yeah. Oh, whoop. Yeah. Where is it at? Anyway.
But they want to monitor your $600 Venmo
$600.
transactions.
Yeah.
Which I think it's still in limbo right now. They haven't agreed to it yet.